Margaret Farrelly from County Cavan is one of Ireland's most unlikely millionaires.
They know it's feeding time.
She's the country's leading independent supplier of free-range eggs. With that success, Margaret now wants to share some of her wealth. For the next 8 days, Margaret will live in the heart of Dublin City, where she will meet different charities and people that she might be able to help.
There's so much to think about when you leave a house like that.
By the end of her stay, Margaret will give away tens of thousands of euro as she reveals herself to be the secret millionaire.
I made a conscious decision to not think too much about it, because then I might kind of start getting anxious and nervous, and I don't want that to happen. You know, when I see need, I just find it very hard to pass it, even in everyday life. I've no expectations, but I think I will be humbled by the people I meet. And really, I'm doing it not for what I get out of it, but just to, in some small way, give back a little of what we have to spread around.
Bye-bye. 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 Love you too. Bye-bye.
Margaret has arrived in the heart of Dublin City. For the next 8 days, she will live in this area known as the Liberties. While this is a stark contrast to country life, she's not completely unfamiliar with the area.
I used to shop here mainly on a Saturday when I'd stay over in Dublin 40 years ago now. My friend and myself used to come to Meath Street to do all sorts of wonderful shopping. Going out in Dublin was pleasant as well and safe. When I went back to the country, I used to say that you really didn't meet many people like a real dub. You know, they were so funny and natural.
After spending the first day getting to know the Liberties, later that evening, Margaret drops into a local shop to get some basics.
Now I'm 642 very much, thank you.
What's the story with this charity? Is it a local charity?
Yeah, I'll just get the boss in and explain to you.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, how are you? Just wondering about the Aoibheann's pink tie.
Oh, Aoibheann's pink tie?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a local charity that helps the parents of the oncology ward in Conlon Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Beautiful little charity, really nice little charity.
I'd love to know a little bit more about the charity, if there's somebody I could talk to.
Yes, Aoibheann is a kid who died a few years ago. Her dad started it, Jimmy. I can get you Jimmy's number.
Oh, I'd love that.
He'd be delighted to hear from you.
Okay, I'd love that, please.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's the following morning, and Margaret has arranged to meet Jimmy Norman, the man behind the charity Aoibheann's Pink Tie. Set up after the loss of Jimmy's daughter, Aoibheann, in 2010, it helps the families of children living with cancer in whatever way they can.
The Pink Tie is an organisation that's it's completely based on practicality. During my stay in the hospital and my wife's Anne-Marie's stay in the hospital with Aoibheann through her sickness, we found that there was a great need for practical support for the families. If you have children at home and you have a child in the hospital with cancer, you could be in the hospital for months. So we started out this idea of helping practically. But it can range from anything from petrol, from getting cars fixed, from maybe covering household bills.
I take it that it's a bottomless pit, really, your needs. But how do you fundraise?
We had the biggest fundraiser ever over Christmas. The Irish Army, the young officer cadets, ran from the Curragh to Galway carrying 60-pound backpacks.
Right.
And they raised to the tune of €10,000.
Wow. And how long did that last?
Oh, that's gone.
But, you know, what exactly would that do?
If you can take a mortgage payment out of a person's life, that gives them a month to breathe.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the best way to get any idea of what the charity does and how we interact with people, I'm going to bring you out to meet Laura and her husband David and their little boy Ethan, and you'll get to see the complexities of dealing with a child with, that has childhood cancer. There's a very long walk along the corridor of St. John's, and most of the families always use the expression to walk the walk. And when you've walked the walk of St. John's, you're never the same again.
Yeah.
And I want Aoibheann's pink toy to hold the hand of every parent that walks the walk.
Laura and David have 2 children, Amelia, who is 15 months, and Ethan, who is 3. Ethan has 2 years remaining of his leukemia treatment.
Treatment at that stage is very aggressive because the leukemia is so aggressive. Like the Hickman line that he has in, when he got it in, they explained to me about bathing him, and they were saying, you know, he can't get this wet. You have to put it like a sandwich bag over it. You have to tie it up, tape it to his neck. And I always remember saying to her, so how would I rinse off his hair? And she just took my hand and she said, he won't have any hair. And that hit me because that was only 24 hours into it.
The information that is just getting thrown at you and you're trying to take it all in.
Even if you weren't right in the middle of the trauma of it all,
exactly.
taking it in and remembering
difficult.
it would be difficult, I'm sure, yeah.
Straight away you're thrown into having to have that knowledge, that medical knowledge, whether you like it or not. You need it, you need to have it, you need to take it in.
And even as you say, Laura, him not being able to tell you, I remember wishing when our children were small, we have 4 and thankfully they're all healthy, I used to wish their lives away saying, you know, oh, if only they could tell me this, so I can know exactly what it must be like trying to figure it out.
It's very hard to wish the 2nd to 3rd year, or like, I wish he was 6. I don't care about last year and I don't care about the next 2 years, and that's very hard to not care because she's a new baby and she's a year old, and I don't care about the next few years. I just want this over, and we were never like that. We lived, David and I, like we were like always very much. We really lived life to the full. Like every day mattered, every day, like. Christmas was looming and David had decided he was going to go in and try and do a few days over the Christmas. So we had kind of written Christmas off and said, it's going to be a bad week anyway. The day after Stephen's Day, go in and see if anybody needs parts, if anyone, because cars still break down over Christmas. And then a couple of days before Christmas, my sister was saying to me, you have to go around, there's a registered letter. After about a week and a half, I went and collected it. It was a cheque for €1,500 from Aoibheann's pink toy. We'd never even asked for or anything. David didn't have to go to work.
I was just going to say, what did that mean to you? Like Aoibheann's pink tie, you didn't know you really until
They met us once. They met us once a few weeks before, and obviously that cheque had even been sent out within just a week or so of the party. Like it wasn't even, you know, they just said it was like being looked after from beyond, you know.
Because I'm going to do it really quick.
Really quickly on the chair, okay?
That way you can go out and play. Put your hands up.
Good boy. Careful, David. This is for the Hickman line that's in his chest, that has to be dressed, that has to be cleaned and dressed once a week.
This is the
line itself.
Okay.
But the line means he doesn't have to have any needles. So he's able to get his chemo and that and get his bloods done every week through this Hickman line.
Okay.
Okay, mister.
Yeah.
Good. Oh. Can I just go home and cry? So many people don't know what living is about. in the real world. Oh, God. There's never enough to... Like the priorities, just the ordinary things that they have to provide. And there's so much to think about when you leave a house like that.
After 3 days undercover in Dublin's Liberties, secret millionaire Margaret Farrelly continues her search for people that she might be able to help. Clearly impressed with the motivation behind Aoibheann's pink tie and the work Jimmy is doing, Margaret wants to see what the charity does on a practical, day-to-day basis. She travels to meet mum Laura and son Tig, who is recovering from his leukemia treatment.
Would you tell me a little bit, Laura, about Tig?
So this day 2 years ago, we were in... Can't do it. In Our Lady's in A&E. All we did was bring him down with a temperature. It just wasn't going away. I'd brought him to the GP 4 times. They said it's viral, and I knew there was something wrong. He looked a yellowish colour. Dr. O'Markey came in after all the tests the next day and said, yeah, he has leukemia.
Right.
It's regimen A, but it's 165 weeks of treatment, so just over 3 years. So we're going to be counting down the months now from now. He's doing really well now.
I was just going to say, how's he doing now?
He's doing brilliant.
He's full of life out there anyway.
Within a month of discovering Aoibheann's pink tie and St. John's wort page, it was like half the struggle was over. It was like you were on your own. And then all of a sudden you had this big, huge community. And like they're like a family now.
I asked my best friend Connor, would he do this room for us to lift Tig and Laura a little bit and give them a chance to, to enjoy something, and I think he's had to do. What do you think?
Magic, it's gorgeous.
Trick downstairs. That is class. Oh, classic.
Oh my God.
I love this.
Do you feel like a real soldier now?
Right now, yes.
Look at their helicopters. What are they? Chinooks?
Blackhawks.
Blackhawks.
Classic.
Well, today Jimmy is just on fire. And little Tig, and his reaction when he went into the room to see it wasn't big investment, but it was one person's determination and one person's vision and seeing a need and responding to that need. We all see needs, but we don't respond to them. It's helping him deal with his own grieving or his own loss.
Spending time with the families that day has rekindled Margaret's own past and the emotions of losing a sister to cancer.
I was 12 years older than Mary, and at 16, my mother and I were in Lourdes. We came home and she wasn't well. So 2 years and 3 months later, she left this world, and she was extraordinary, I think, for a young girl at her age to tell us at Christmas the year before she died. She told us that she wanted to die if we didn't mind, and that was emotional. That was.
The following morning, and Margaret has arranged to meet Jimmy from Aoibheann's Pink Tie on Dublin's South Wall. She wants to know more about the man behind the charity and his own story.
I lived my life. I was just a very ordinary man. I'm still a very ordinary man. I have a beautiful wife, Anne-Marie, and I'll always have 4 children. But unfortunately, I've lost one. I worked in Dublin Airport. I'd actually achieved my own personal dream was to work on aircraft. And I was in work and I got a phone call from Anne-Marie that she was heading to Tempest Street with Aoibheann. And then this ordinary man, within about 2 hours, was dropped into the most nightmarish situation that you wouldn't want anybody
Completely unannounced or
completely out of the blue. Aoibheann was lined up for MRIs, and I'll always remember going into that room, to this consultant there, and she said Aoibheann has, she's a very large tumour, and it has spread to both of her lungs. That some people call them, you know, tumours. I didn't even understand the real complexity of it, and she says, but other people call it cancer. And she says, you know, she kind of said to me in a way that we have to be careful about what we say to Aoibheann because of she's aware of her own mortality because of her age.
Yes.
I thought I was going to die. I screamed so hard in the room that they had to clear the day ward out. I remember falling on the table. Absolutely.
It's so difficult. I can
roared and
understand,
crying,
I think, a
roared and
little
crying.
bit, Jimmy, about that point in time for you, because when my sister was diagnosed, I was the one who got the message. I was waiting on my two brothers to come to the hospital, and one of my brothers reacted just like that. He almost put his fist through the window in St. Vincent's. He said, "This cannot be happening," and punched the window, because she was 16. The word tumour was what they used as well.
We brought Aoibheann down to the theatre to remove the tumour. Extremely invasive, and I looked at my child in the bed, and there was she was completely bald. She had a nappy, like a baby's nappy over her to give her some dignity. And her arms were by her side, she was lying like that. And I thought to myself, that was the closest thing that I ever seen to a crucifixion.
Oh, God.
And I couldn't believe, like, to see this
my
child that was, like, a few months earlier, was Irish dancing and running around on the street and looking forward to life and playing with her friends. And
Margaret Farrelly is nearing the end of what has been an emotional time in the Liberties. She must decide soon in what way she can best help. In a few days, she'll be donating tens of thousands of euro and revealing herself as the Secret Millionaire. For the past few months, Jimmy and the other volunteers have been organising a big day out in Dunboyne Castle for all the families of St John's Ward in Crumlin Children's Hospital.
a few weeks ago, I had this idea of giving the little girls princess dresses, and we decided then we give the little boys uniforms. So people were saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if they all got together and we had a photo shoot?
So that's how this happened?
That's just how this happened.
In general, to the Aoibheann's pink tie community, what does Jimmy mean?
He's a breath of fresh air. Jimmy is the first part to call. The calls come to him. He's the experience of dealing with parents. And although Aoibheann passed away, you know, he has the experience of all the procedures, all the medical terms, knows all the nurses and doctors, and they all love him. He's a special place.
Right, lads, princess coming through. Watch out. Hero on the way. Stand back, princess and heroes only.
I really have been knocked out with the effort that people have gone to, the passion that they have for it, you know, the helpers, the support team, and the love that they do it with. And the little children just break your heart. You could feel the love in the room, you know, from the mummies and daddies, the other children. The thought occurred to me, how is he coping really? You know, if this was taken out of his life, because he's so stuck in there and he's so go all the time, and you'd ask yourself, did he have time to do his own grieving? That maybe makes me wonder how long, at that pace, can Jimmy keep going? But
With her own family tale of cancer, Aoibheann's pink tie and the man behind it, Jimmy, have had a deep effect on Margaret. She arranges to meet Jimmy to say one last goodbye.
Well, really, I just wanted to call Jimmy and say goodbye properly, because there wasn't a chance the other day.
Yes.
And to make a little confession, we weren't making helping hands, as we told you. We were actually, or you were actually taking part in the making of an episode of Secret Millionaire. And I'm absolutely delighted and privileged, Jimmy, to be able to make you a present, to continue the wonderful work and to encourage you to keep going with that work. And your team, Aoibheann's Pink Tie team.
I'm shaking, so lads, so just have to bear with me for a second.
That's human.
Oh my Jane. Jeez.
I will never forget the meeting with Laura, David and Ethan. I'll remember this. It wouldn't be possible to leave that house without it making a deep impression. I think if I didn't even have the experience in my own life, I would have been moved by it. I felt that I was stepping completely into the unknown. I didn't have any expectations, so it was a real adventure. I find that everybody I've met has touched me in different ways, really. I'm not as an individuals, but as part of what they're involved in. And that's a completely different way of thinking for me, I think.